This is a Crocodile Collective production.
My Allotment, written and narrated by Roger Morris.
Before the days of smartphones, I could hear passers-by talking face to face, whoever they were, over the fence as they passed my allotment. I once earwigged an exchange between a little girl and her mother. "What do they do there?" The mother replied, "Oh, that's where all the old men go." I thought at the time, now over 30 years ago, well, I must be old before my time. I've had my allotment since 1983 on what was a newly created site. It was good to look up from weeding to give bemused passengers on the sleek Intercity 125s a cheery railway children wave, often reciprocated, as the coaches weaved their way on an unscheduled mystery tour of County Durham. On the other side was a redundant mineral line with the track still intact, originally from South Shields to Stanhope, taking iron ore up to Concert Steelworks and limestone back from Weardale. It now forms the last stage of the coast-to-coast cycleway to Sunderland. The allotment was not exactly love at first sight, with a slither of land covered in couch grass. As I soon discovered, it was devoid of any depth of soil, where not even a solitary worm existed. Regardless, it was my allotment, and beggars can't be choosers, and my challenge was to turn this unpromising plot to productive use. I've never been tempted to move to a better plot, and have remained faithful in the good times as well as the bad. To those not familiar with allotment life, who may be under the delusion they are places of peace, birdsong and serenity. Dear listener, you need to be prepared for a rude awakening. The normal tensions, prejudices and differences of humankind are freely transplanted and flourish much as they do in the world outside. Our committee governs life as we know it, of the do's and don'ts of allotment life. And woe betide any allotmenteer who falls foul of the terms and conditions of his or her tenancy. The ignominy of eviction is an ever-present deterrent to deviant behaviour. All manner of issues can be hotly contested. And as for the subject of the prospective compostable toilet, let's say that's a place you don't ever want to go to. Beyond down-to-earth politics, on the cultivation side is a place of close interaction and cordial contact, with folks of all walks of life rubbing shoulders as best they can. Organic-minded greens side by side with free-spraying pesticide killers, diggers and no-diggers, composters and non-composters, casual leisure gardeners and pot leek champions, gardeners by moonlight, others by the first light of dawn. My immediate neighbours have come and gone over time, bringing their own sense of attachment to the soil. Partners banished by the other, particularly in retirement, to find space of their own in the solitary refuge of the open plot. While for some it's been a joy of chores shared, maybe for others to steal guiltily away for a few hours like an illicit affair. Even a place for rehabilitation of an ex-husband into tolerable coexistence on neutral ground. Davy is the chap I remember most fondly of all those who've come and gone. A true legend, framed in scholarly, horn-rimmed glasses and a cabbage patch hat, as he trundled his push-bike along Shepherd's Way from Rivermead. Always amiable, he could be relied on for a good chat of cherished memories about his hometown of Amble on the Northumberland coast. He was non-judgmental of my relaxed, non-linear approach to my plot management. When the council's allotment officer still from time to time conducted tick-box checks to identify wayward tendencies, I was told that he rose to my defence. But he uses all the space to grow summer. He may have kept a few chickens, but it was the talk of his pigeons and beloved Cree I remember most. On one occasion he'd been in Upper Weardale at St John's Chapel for a Saturday night drink. A thought struck him. He couldn't remember whether or not he'd fed and watered his birds, so he decided to walk overnight back to Washington, 35 miles away. A tab glued to his upper lip was no impediment to conversation, as he puffed away with his prescribed NHS nicotine patches for extra strength. No doubt this eventually contributed to his demise and the end of a much-loved character. Nowadays, as time has passed, I find conversations are not so much about gardening, like have you got the taties or onion sets off? Or how are your brassicas doing? It's those pesky pigeons you have to look out for. Have you got your order into King's? There's just as likely to be, how's your knee or leg faring? Or even worse, it's a pity about poor old Fred. It won't be the same here without him. He'll be a big miss. That observation made by the mother to her daughter is like the chickens come home to roost. So far as I know, the ashes of no allotment holder have yet been spread over this sacred ground. But what do I know? It's only a matter of time, and the bone meal will do wonders for the root crops.
You have been listening to a Crocodile Collective production, recorded at the University of Sunderland and Spark FM studios.